We arrived in Nicaragua in the afternoon. We had flown into Managua, so we picked up a car and drove 4 hours north. When we reached our destination, it was very late at night, so this morning was the first time we could see exactly where we were. We took a walk down to the water. I remember thinking how strange it was to be in shorts. Just a few days ago, at home there was still snow. The first thing I noticed were all the sounds, the birds and the wind and the waves. Kaylee's retreat started that night, so we did some last-minute preparations. When everyone arrived, I headed back down to the water to enjoy the light and to cool off. At this time of day, the sun goes down fast. Everything starts happening all at once. It's hectic and peaceful, a yin and yang. And then when the sun finally disappears behind the horizon, there's that moment of peace. All that's left is the sound of the waves and the birds. The days always started with a yoga class that I, for the most part, didn't attend. It was an all-women's retreat, so I wanted to give them space. On this day, we were doing something that I'd never experienced before, but I've always wanted to. We loaded into the trucks and headed a few minutes down the road. Paul? Okay. It took a little while to get the hang of riding. Feeling comfortable on the saddle, balancing, learning how to turn, how to speed up, and how to slow down. Really? Wow. Yeah, girl. What's the difference in terms of their personality? But after a few minutes, I felt more in control, and I started to enjoy myself more and more. That was fast. It's a crazy workout. Later that day, we got in the trucks again and drove to a close by marina. I was starting to realize how much the guys here and I had in common. The first place they took us was to a tree they liked climbing and jumping from.
I'll jump off of it.
You there?
Yeah,
It's protected, no problem?
no problem.
Okay.
From where, here?
Yeah, from there. Okay. Go stand here.
Then we tried wake surfing. I had surfed for the first time here, so it was fun to practice standing up and balancing on the board.
Yes.
After a few hours, we parked the boats on a beach nestled between the estuary and the open ocean to watch the sunset. On one side, the moon was rising behind a volcano. And on the other side, the sun and the waves. The week continued. Kaylee and I would often get a cup of coffee early in the morning and watch the waves or walk on the beach before she had her first class. That morning, I thought this was one of the most peaceful places I've ever visited. Every person greets you with a smile, and where we were was extremely remote. A few surf camps here and there, but that was it. There was this wild feeling that's hard to describe. Every night, we were treated to an incredible light show. And one of my favorite routines was to get into the water as the sun dipped below the horizon. I make sure I have some editing work to do while we're away on these retreats, and I'm also shooting photos and videos for Kaylee. But I still have plenty of time for myself. Even though there were over 20 people, I found myself alone often. Being in a new place especially, having moments to myself was very special and important. We were staying in these cabanas that didn't have AC. In the afternoon, it was so hot, it was almost impossible to be inside or really anywhere for that matter. Most days, I would take this opportunity to walk down to a sand beach to read, write, and relax. I'll read a paragraph I wrote in my notebook on this day, my unedited thoughts. Dear Mom, I know that you're here with me. We shared a love for the ocean and solitude. Actually, I learned both of those from you. Back home, spring is arriving. The birds will be singing as flowers start to bloom. I think back to days of us, just last year, sitting on the front steps with Willie, as we watch the birds eat. Just as I write this, a large flock of birds passed overhead. Thank you. After a week, the retreat ended. But Kaylee and I still had 3 more days to spend, and we got an Airbnb right up the road from the retreat center. It was set up on a hill overlooking the ocean. This is definitely one of the nicest Airbnbs we've ever stayed in, if not the nicest. I was really looking forward to cooking after being cooked for all week. It was hard not to fall in love with this house. Huge tall ceilings, so much light. And the outdoor patio had me dreaming about a setup like this in the future. Because we were up on this hill, the sunlight coming through our windows was always changing, turning golden and deeper in shade by the minute. When you went to the edge of the terrace, you could just hear the waves crashing in the distance, a muted sound, overpowered by the wind and the birds. There was always a moment after the sun went down. The sky became dark and a little dull. But a few minutes later, it would light up again. Bright orange and yellow. There wasn't much of a blue hour here, but this second golden moment was just as satisfying. Oh, white pineapple?
The lime on this is so good.
The white one is more tart. Obviously there's lime, but have you seen a white one before? No.
I mean, we can bring a bunch of bananas on the boat. Yeah, something to think about
Oh yeah.
if we're on the boat all day.
The property caretaker, Manuel, offered to bring us some fish that he bought down by the docks that were caught that morning. And then Flavia showed me how to clean them and descale them.
La comida,
¿Y
sí,
acá?
en la norte, sí, acá en la norte.
Igual pienso,
Sí,
norte, Nicaragua también, norte.
sí, sí.
Igual, comemos porque les encanta el nacatamal que le dicen. Comen el cerdo. ¿No ha comido el cerdo?
¿Sabes dónde puedo comprar tortillas cerca de aquí? Tortillas.
Solo afuera. Necesitaba tortilla ahorita y ya va más seca. Solo arroz, ahí está el arroz en una pana. Encontró el arroz, los frijoles.
Los frijoles, sí,
Y el
sí.
arroz, ahí está el arroz.
We walked a few minutes down to our local beach, the same one where we rode horses a few days ago. I started to realize that this wasn't just a beach, but a highway of sorts. Fishing boats were parked all along the coast, and people on bikes, motorcycles, horse, and foot were constantly passing. It was fascinating to watch. A whole little town right on this beach. Everyone who passed greeted us with at least a smile, if not some pleasantries.
Because I'm thinking to park the car. Because I don't have parking here.
We set off in the boat early that morning, the sun just peeking above the trees. As we got out of the bay and the little estuary, the waves started to get bigger and bigger. Eventually to a point where I had to put my big camera away before it got thrown off the side. And it might be hard to tell just how big these waves were and how much it was throwing the boat around, but I certainly had never experienced anything like this before. At first, I was a bit nervous, but that wore off quickly when I started to realize how much fun it actually was. The guys were all smiling and laughing, which was hard to resist. Plus, if we did end up capsizing and I lost my cameras, at least it would be a great story. I quickly understood how much of an expert our captain was, navigating the waves, knowing when to speed up, when to slow down, when to turn. It reminded me of snowmobiling in a way, this being more extreme, at least to me. The idea was to get out as far as possible in an attempt to get past the big waves, and so we kept going on and on. Eventually, either the waves got smaller or maybe we just slowed down, but the guys put out 6 rods and we started fishing. I haven't spent a lot of time on the water, so watching them decide what lures to use and where to look for the fish, the whole experience was really interesting. We were out there for a few hours and didn't have any luck, which was surprising to the guys. We saw some other fishermen who had the same experience, and we learned later that day there was an earthquake the night before, which caused the big waves and scared the fish away. We didn't let the day go to waste though. night, we invited Rafa, his wife Cindy, and their daughter over for dinner. We decided we couldn't let our failure on the boat rob us of more fresh fish, so Rafa brought some that he bought from the fishermen. He and Cindy taught us how to make homemade tortillas, the Nicaraguan way. Rafa is one of the coolest people we've met doing retreats. He taught me how to surf, how to ride a horse, how to wake surf. Having a dinner like this with friends in this faraway, remote place felt like the perfect way to end our time in Nicaragua. And we watched one final sunset, knowing this is a place we could never forget.